Soup. Hi. There you go.
Good, that's the intro.
Intro.
Let's go ahead and get to the story
That's the
for
intro.
today. My mom is insufferable with D&D. So my parents liked how I was playing D&D a lot with my friends, and they wanted me to DM for them, so I quickly came up with a campaign and we got to business. Little did I know I'll be in for a wild ride with my mom throughout the whole experience. Now my mom is a chaotic good sorcerer who tends to be mischievous, and she describes it just to get that out of the way real quick. So the first big thing was about 45 minutes into the section, when the party had to hide from a giant spider locked in a room with them. They ended up getting a door unlocked to escape, but the spider was distracted by a rock. My mom thought it would be such a bright idea to hit it with a head, and distracted herself for some reason. She ended up making out barely alive because of a very carefully done distraction done by pelting it with a rock while hiding it, thanks to a monk. Another good example of this was when my mom tried to lie and bargain from an old lady running a shop by herself and ended up getting the whole party kicked out of the shop for deceiving the old lady and shoplifting. Now I'm all in for a little bit of tomfoolery. This was the first shop they had set in quite a while. They had no other food, drinks, or really anything all that good defensive-wise. She threw it in for the whole team. She then started lashing out at the team and got all emo because she felt attacked when everyone got mad at her for putting the team in even more danger than before, especially since this is the wilderness in an alternate dimension. I had to talk with her about this too, and she said she felt bad for being the only woman in the group, which is understandable. And she then proceeds to tell me that she should be like the main character of the campaign. The next session she ended up being worse, but doing pretty much what she was doing before, but also interrupting people and going on huge rants to NPCs, leading to lack of progression. Just a mess right now. Now I don't want to kick her out, but she also needs to learn to collaborate, I feel. Despite what her character bio says, your mom is a problem player. Perhaps your mom was always a problem player. Perhaps your mom always had a specific act or inclination to being a problem player. From being the main character in the story to be able to get away with all kinds of consequences without having any sort of actions have consequences. Well, not for your mom apparently. Your mom could do nothing wrong and can never do anything wrong and can never get in trouble, I guess. Now what do you do in this situation? Mary, what do you do if you have a parent that's DMing and playing in your game? And is that me doing it?
Oh, you had button me and it makes a squeak.
Oh, okay, this is really distracting. This is really distracting. Anyway, Mary, what do we say to if someone's parent is being a problem player? What do we say for that?
That was a little awkward situation because you can't really tell them off. I mean, you can, but I guess it depends on the parent. I would never do that to my mom. And I would refuse. I would just leave the campaign. I'm just I'm good. You have fun.
The fact that the DM would want to just leave the campaign just because the mom was scary as already I think says a lot. But you unfortunately, OP, are in a position where you have to let your mom know, Mom, you are the problem. I am so sorry, but you are the problem. You need to change because I can't have this at the table. You're gonna have to have a really difficult talk. You're gonna have to have a really difficult conversation with your mom about this, and I'm so sorry. I got no more advice to tell you other than good luck, but I can squeak around on Mary's head and hopefully that'll make your day a little bit better. This is so distracting.
Enjoyed yourself?
Yes, this is so distracting. I love this. It is a de-stressor. You're like a squishy distressor ball. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. Can you unwild shape now?
Gonna crawl up your ass.
Please don't crawl up my ass. That's where I keep my hidden coin.
How much is it?
I'm not telling you how much platinum that is.
Platinum?
Yes, my ass is platinum, baby. DM insists on making my character trans to fulfill a fetish. Hey y'all, thought I'd share a story that happened a few months ago that, looking back, is pretty funny in my opinion, but I still give a bigotry and a light essay warning. So I'm in college. I've been playing D&D for about 3 years, mostly with friends. My friends and I would have to take a 1 to 2 month hiatus because of school schedule stuff, and some people going home for break. None of us were interested in playing virtually. No worries on my part. I hit up the owner of my city's game store, who I'm pretty cool with, and he gave me the number of somebody who came in looking to start a campaign. So we texting and planning the campaign as a group, 5 players plus the DM. We eventually met at the game store to play like a week later. This is also most of our first times meeting each other. 2 of the players were friends, and the DM and 1 of the players were friends. Me and the other remaining player knew nobody prior to session 0, so all mostly strangers. 2 things I noticed right off the bat was that I was the only woman, and I was 21. The next youngest player had to be 30 at the youngest. Not vital info, but there's still a bit of power dynamic, unfortunately. So we go around briefly introducing ourselves and our characters. We get to me last, and as soon as I speak, the DM interjects and says, a little too excited, "Wait, are you trans?" Which is not something you ask somebody immediately upon meeting them. I'd already said a few hellos and nice to meet yous, but I guess you couldn't tell from those not from my appearance. But I say yes, reluctantly. I'm not horribly concerned. I get inappropriate questions all the time. And I'm more patient with the older someone is. He was probably somewhere in his 40s or 50s. Plus I know the store owner would throw anyone out the window. There's so much as gave me a nasty look. So session 0 goes fine. We play once a week for a few weeks with no issues whatsoever. The big issue arose in session like 5 or 6 when we encountered a male dwergar and a male human who is described as a little scrawny, which I fear will be relevant. For context, I'm playing a drow woman who is cisgender. Not that it should be relevant either, but I fear it also is. So the dwergar is lightly flirting with me, and the human is terrified of me. I don't reciprocate the flirting. It's obvious that I'm not reciprocating it, but I'm not raising red flags quite yet. I was fine, I guess, with light flirting, but obviously being the only woman in a group of older men, I'm gonna be a little on my guard when implied romance is suddenly directed at only my character. So the party is talking to these 2 NPCs and trying to get information from them as to the location of a house that we need to find. But both NPCs are paying most of the attention to my character. You find out that the human is Dwergar's slave, but only human has the information about the house we're looking for. Dwergar keeps complimenting me and like using me to threaten the human if he didn't cooperate, saying things like, "You better be careful with her, you don't know what she could do to you." And the human keeps covering in fear and asking questions like, "Oh, what is she gonna do to me?" In response, mind you, this DM is just having conversations with himself, basically about how dominant my character looks in front of us. I was a little uncomfortable, but I assumed it was because my character was a drow, and I didn't want to pause the game over it. Why this dwergar, who seemed very interested in helping me, couldn't just tell the slave to tell us the location of the house is beyond me. But I digress. I understand the whole lore of D&D is like the drow women like basically dominate the society. It's a very matriarchal society, and I guess in some capacity some people like to fantasize it being like a femdom fetish or something. I don't know. Whatever people got, whatever kind of fetishes people got is whatever kind of things they got. I like that D&D has a lot of cool lore, and drow in general just have like a lot of really cool lore and complexities. The whole ties with Loth, some with Elistray, you know, I guess the good and evil kind of thing, the really hardcore turned up stuff on there. It's just, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of neat. However, I'm kind of assuming that maybe this DM is trying to get to some sort of a fetish that is related to the title here, because they're saying like, oh, you don't want to know what she's gonna do to you. Like on one hand, it could be implying that maybe a character is just a dominative abusive drow that hates all men, which I guess some can be a little bit misinterested and stuff. I can see where they're kind of coming from, but unless your character specifically is that particular archetype, it doesn't feel like it's kind of makes sense to play into that, you know? It's like if a DM was so Mary and assume that Mary just loves everything, including people. That's a lot of assumptions for a DM to do, because Mary hates people. She absolutely despises people, especially other satyrs. She's racist against other satyrs. She's not, but you know, I'm just kind of turning it up a little bit. Mary, any words? Any thoughts? She looks like she's so comfortable, like tucked away and stuff, just like on a blanket. I just imagine her just like tucked away in the blanket, just like hanging out and chilling, listening to my nonsense. Thank you, Mary, for entertaining me. I appreciate
that's
you.
What's happening?
Basic. Wake up, Mary! Wake up! I need your commentary, Mary! Eventually, the human insists on taking us there rather than telling us where to go. We follow those 2 NPCs and we walk to the Dwergar Express, wanted to sell this human because he won't listen. I don't say anything. The player who was friends with the DM says we might be able to make use of him. Say we're not taking a slave, and one of the other players agrees with me. But Dwergar tells me specifically, "You get a pretty good price on him if you show me how to discipline him." Which doesn't even make sense if you're going to sell him. I give a disgusted look, which I think the DM interpreted in character. The player who agreed with me early interjects with a nervous laugh and changes the subject, but I'm now in, okay, I wasn't being overly suspicious mode. I feel like maybe the DM is trying to push some sort of a fantasy, some sort of a kink on you and stuff, like some sort of dominated drow, you know, working through like some sort of BDSM fetish. It kind of makes me think it's some sort of like a domination BDSM fetish or something, because the DM is really laying it on thick and stuff. I think they're trying to lead up to some sort of a kink. I don't know yet though. I honestly have no idea. We get to the house and the human says a password which gets us inside, and there's this huge party going on. We're pretty surprised because this house was described as sort of a secret hideout, something that would be very under the radar. But whatever. The party gets split up into 3 groups, and my group just so happened to be me and the 2 NPCs. I'm no longer acting and all enthusiastic about playing, and I've thrown all roleplay out the window. I'm basically functioning on one more creepy comment and I'm getting up. So me and these 2 NPCs find ourselves in the biggest... Hold on 1 second, if you're not feeling that comfortable, why don't you just leave? Like, if generally this makes you feel very, very uncomfortable, you know, you can just leave. You don't have to play this specific game whatsoever. Like, no D&D is better than bad D&D. And yeah, you can stomach it for as long as you can, but whenever you give yourself these kind of like, I guess, goalposts and stuff, and you just kind of keep moving it and moving it and moving it and stuff, it just, like, what's the point of playing this? I mean, now in hindsight 2020, you probably realize this game just sucked in general. You probably wouldn't want to play in a specific game like that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if a game is giving you bad vibes and the DM is just not improving and stuff, and if, let's say, for example, you talk to the DM and tell them that you're not feeling, you know, the vibes of this, you know, current thing they got going on, I think it just might be easy just to leave and stuff, you know? I mean, of course, you probably want to be nice. You probably want to stick around and see if maybe things improve. Maybe DM will actually catch the hint and stop being all weird and creepy. But something I learned in RPG horror stories, these kind of DMs don't stop. They simply just don't stop. They're just gonna keep on going unless you say something or do something. And the best way to do so is just leaving, really. So me and these 2 NPCs find ourselves in the biggest room of the house where the main party is going on. One group went upstairs and the other went to the cellar. All of us need to find the leader / boss of this place. But this main room is described as a sex party where dozens of elven foot women are on the table whipping, tickling, and screwing scrawny male humans and halflings. Oh my god. Of course, now comes out, DM has a photo fetish. I can't imagine DM just sitting there describing about how these photo women are screwing all these scrawny men and stuff. Like, listen, bro, whatever you're into is whatever you're into, but do not bring your fetishes to D&D. Nobody, unless you're playing a specific game that's like a kinky, sexy game, nobody's interested in your fetishes. Keep your fetishes to yourself, locked away somewhere, or playing games where people actually want to play these kind of games. I'm sure if you try hard enough and look hard enough, you'll find other people that want to play other kinky, sexy food games in D&D. But this game is just not it. And just regular ass people want to play regular ass D&D for like a one shot or something. That's all they're trying to do. And here you are. It's like, oh, let me show off my food fetish. Whatever you're into is whatever you're into. But go ahead.
I'll say he was trying to find free people for ERP.
Yeah, he was trying to find a captive audience for literally some sort of like E-sex ERP. Like, this is not the place to look, man. This is a game show. It's a game store. People just want to play regular ass D&D at the end of the day.
Look at the ERP. What store are you in? I'm in the ERP store. It's not the ERP store.
It's not the soup store. It's the ERP store. Morrow, I thought this was a soup store. Sorry, this is not the soup store anymore. It's the ERP store. We out of soup, but we got plenty of ERP, I guess. Patrons throwing tip money at the most entertaining women, he says, with this like the funniest thing in the world. My jaw's on the floor as he says this. Then he has the dwarf say that they're having a competition, and the winner gets to give a private show to the boss. Now it'll be my ticket to find him. Of course, because your character is now apparently your DM's fetish, because your character is now a futa, even though you didn't make your character anything like that. Your character is literally just a character, but no, because of this DM, because of the obsession with the fetish, now your character is just an accessory to their fetish. Wowee, this game sucks. At this point, I give an aghast what the fuck at the DM. He gives me this confused look, then says, "You don't have to if you don't want to, but it might be in your best interest." What? I tell him that I'm not doing that, and that my character isn't even trans, and that it's freaked up that he would even try to pressure me into doing this out of the blue. Of everything I yell at him for, the only thing he says to say in response is, "Wait, your character's not trans?" The fact for this DM to just assume that like your character is just trans because you're trans and stuff is just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. It just, the logic is not there. There is no logic whatsoever. I'm guessing they're assuming like, you know, it's one of those things. It's basically one of those people that's like, if you're a woman, you're probably only gonna play as female characters. If you're a man, you're probably gonna play as male characters because they can't process the fact that somebody can be a guy playing as a girl and a girl playing as a guy, vice versa, or hell, somebody playing as an amorphous ooze, for crying out loud, and doing whatever they want. Because apparently we can't just enjoy fiction, we can't enjoy escapism, we can't make characters that just have nothing to do with us whatsoever in the slightest, even one a bit, apparently.
You be ooze with me.
Yes, I'll be an ooze with you, Mary. would be an ooze together, would be an amorphous futa ooze. DM says, I assumed she was, and say that I never brought it up because it shouldn't even matter. DM then goes, okay, as he shuffles through his notes frantically, as I've just completely thrown him off the game. And he has to replan the entire session on a whim. Please don't tell me your DM literally wrote the entire session with your character actually being trans and having a futa cock. Please tell me they didn't write the entire story, the entire session for the day with your character being a futa or trans or anything like that. Can you imagine planning an entire session around player's identity? What? Just insanity, absolute madness and insanity. I just do not get it. This is the first time you guys meeting this is the first time you guys meeting ever. The very first time ever. How? In any capacity, they have planned all this out just to include your character in this. I just don't get it. I genuinely have no idea. The other players, minus the DM's friend, also began to kind of interrogate this guy as to what he was even thinking. I ask, did you plan on me agreeing to do that? To which he says, well, it would make things easiest. And I shoot up from the table, gather my things, and walk out. And the other three join me. The next day, DM texts me to apologize if he caught me off guard. He did a lot more than that, but that he thinks it would be most interesting and pretty hot for my character to be a trans woman, considering she's a drow and therefore from a matriarchal society, that he would like me to consider the idea and he'll let me change my character to fit the story. Oh, thank you, DM. What a beneficial extension of your grace to give the benefit of the player to change the character to fit your fetishes. Wow, so graceful of you that you allow the player to fit your little kink, DM. Wowie, wow. Like, seriously, what does this guy get off? Actually, I don't want to know what this guy gets off. I don't want to know anything about this guy's fetishes or where he gets off, which corner he decides to jork in it. I couldn't care less. This guy is so gooner obsessed and fetish obsessed over his own fetishes that he can't even play a regular ass D&D game and just have a regular ass game. This honestly just doesn't click to me. Like, why go through all this trouble and even act so arrogant about it because you just want everybody to entertain your fetishes? Don't bring your fetishes to D&D. Stop treating D&D as your personal sex games. They're not. If you want to have that, find people that want to entertain your fetishes. Don't just expect every other D&D game to just be your entertainment fetish for your fetish D&D sex craze. I think I'm saying the word sex and fetish a little bit too much. I'm gonna get myself in trouble with YouTube, but you know what? I do not care. We're continuing. I leave him on red and show the screenshot of the text to the store owner. Her guest felt partially responsible, so he apologized profusely, even though I don't blame him at all, and banned the DM for life. Looking back, I think DM was just trying to insert his own PC, who would have basically been my character's sex slave, who followed us around. I also think he had a random stroke of horniness shortly after the session began, so he improvised the whole sex party thing, since so many things seemed random and contradictory as soon as a Dwergar and human were introduced. I think that's actually what happened. I think as soon as they realized that you were trans, they instead rewrote everything entirely to include this specific encounter because they were like, oh, my fetish can finally be achieved. I can finally have my futak fetish achieved inside of a game because now I have a trans player here and they can entertain my fetishes instead of, you know, doing it normally and finding some people that actually want to play the sort of thing instead of just making poor victims over game store. You're hostages to this thing. Not even captured audience, hostages to your fetish. That's basically what it is. They're hostages to your fetish because the DM is so gooner brain and so goon obsessed they can't even stop for a iota of a second to consider, maybe players don't want to play my fetish game. No, they definitely want to play my fetish game. It's not I am wrong, it's everybody else that are wrong. They just don't get how genius my fetish is. Mary, what are your thoughts on fetish games?
I don't think I've played it. Actually, wait, no, that's a lie. Maybe? I don't know.
Elaborate.
I can't remember. I don't know. Everyone's got weird fetishes. I don't have any fetishes, but it's like, if people are just into what they're into, just don't use D&D for it.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
There's specific campaigns for it, you know, where you can just go all out. But if they say no, don't do it.
Yeah, like if you really want to find you want to start your own kinks and cantrips game just to explore fetishes and stuff, go for it. But advertise it to be that specific thing. Don't expect any regular ass game just to be, you know, everybody just succumb to your fetishes and stuff. If you're looking for that sort of thing, I'm sure you can find somebody that's also interested in having big Fuda drow like D&D campaign with kinks and cantrips and everything. But don't expect every regular game that people just want to play regular as D&D to just succumb and just submit to your fetishes. D&D games isn't your place to explore your fetishes. There's other places to do that, but not in D&D.
Big suck.
Big suck.
The biggest of sucks.
And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.